Well, it was very moving to hear the testimonies and from the victims of the Bush administration, but it's, and what they've been doing to poor people, but not just the Bush administration. These are conditions that have been brewing for a long time, and policies of displacement and lack of health care and lack of respect for people and their human rights. It's much deeper than, but it's certainly taken a sharp turn for the worse in the last 8 years, and you could see that and hear that in the very powerful testimony that we got. Not just the negative ways that it affected people, but the power of the strong spirits that have come through people that are fighting back, fighting for their dignity, fighting for changes to these conditions. And it's sort of a privilege to be part of this and to be able to help out in a small way to demand justice and demand respect for the people that have been victimized by economic oppression. Not just the negative ways that it affected people, but the power of the strong spirits that have come through people that are fighting back, fighting for their dignity, fighting for changes to these conditions. And it's sort of a privilege to be part of this and to be able to help out in a small way to demand justice and demand respect for the people that have been victimized by economic oppression. There's so much visible homelessness in this country, in the United States, is that the U.S. government abandoned its commitment to build housing for poor people in the early 80s during the Reagan administration. Yet the population that needs rental subsidies or assistance to be able to live a decent life keeps growing. And the stock of housing that's available has been shrinking because of demolitions of public housing and the conversions of private housing. Like here in Minneapolis, in this area, the Calhoun Beach Club apartments are losing their Section 8 subsidies in the near future. That kind of thing has happened to 400,000 families in the last 12 years, going back to the prior administration. So this is a problem that is the main reason why there are so many visible homeless in my life. It's much worse now than it was when I was younger. It's not a result of mistakes or moral failings by poor people. It's a result of a deliberate strategy by elites in this country to defund and underfund affordable housing, to get rid of rent control, to tear down public housing, and to convert subsidized housing to market and not build new housing to replace it. So that's something that was very clear, and it was painful to hear the results of so many people from so many different walks of life who have experienced homeless in their either now or in their lifetimes. It's wrong in a country like this. It's as wealthy as this country.
Also a global.
Well, there's so many scandals, and the Bush administration, it's hard to know where to begin. Every single government agency has been corrupted and undermined by incompetent, uncaring people who are basically there to loot for their crony buddies, or to divert money from social programs that are needed, like in the housing field, to the war in Iraq, or tax cuts for the wealthy, which was their priority. Right now, for one scandal, it now has come out that $2.8 billion in Section 8 money was diverted out of HUD into the war and to other priorities of the Bush administration, leaving a shortfall of funding that could, unless it's corrected by Congress, could mean hundreds of thousands of people out in the street, or owners converting to market rate housing. That's one scandal, and it almost certainly was engineered by people inside of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development who violated a statute called the Anti-Deficiency Act. And we hope that gets investigated, and that the people responsible are identified and convicted for their crime. That's one example. It's not as generally recognized that the Bush administration for the last 8 years has systematically gone after nonprofit organizations by challenging their tax status, engaging in witch hunt audits with no basis, to basically intimidate and silence resistance to their policies. They've destroyed organizations, they've defunded grantees who hadn't really done anything wrong, that sort of thing. It's been happening pretty much systematically in a variety of fields. Have not been that many news reports on that, but that's something that if there's a change in administration, it's something that we, the people, need to be demanding be investigated. They need to open the doors, open the files, so that we can really investigate the crimes of the last 8 years and go after the people that are responsible.